Hi, I'm Rachael McCampbell and I'm an artist and painter. I love to paint both plein air and in my studio, and sometimes I combine that by painting plein air, bringing a study in, and doing a larger studio piece. Or sometimes I like to do what I call a memory painting. One of the best parts about plein air painting for me is that it challenges your observational skills. So while you're out there, you're really using those muscles to study value and form and shape and all those things that comprise a painting. And you sort of memorize it, and it just sinks into you. And so what I like to try to do is come back in the studio later with no photos or reference and just put down on paper, and paper is important because it just frees you up. You're not thinking, oh, this has got to be a canvas painting that sells. No, this is for fun, it's for you. And so you're using paper, and you put down in, I'm in this case using cold wax and oil to get the shapes, maybe the idea, maybe a color palette, something down, and see where it takes you. You never know. But it's a fun test, a fun way to push yourself in a new way. So I hope you'll enjoy this process and join me. I am beginning by activating the page with an RNF stick. This is a sap green translucent color, which is great for a base. It gives a good staining effect on the paper. I'm creating shapes just sort of randomly to be playful and experimental, and something to start the conversation with. Then I use a squeegee to press the color into the paper and just kind of thin it out and get all the bumps out as well. I'm now using a green gold RNF stick, and it has a beautiful glow to the green. It's a great color. Now I'm adding an alizarin orange RNF stick just to introduce a complementary color into the scene. I'm mixing cold wax with the oil, pretty much half and half is the ratio. I'm mixing up a few colors now. The first one is a permanent green light. Followed by a cadmium chartreuse. I'm laying down some colors using a palette knife and squeegees. I'd like to mix it up. I want to explain that this is not like one of my cold wax medium loosening exercises. This is a piece where I'm taking my time. I'm smearing the paint, I'm removing paint, I'm adding paint, I'm scratching through, I'm using a brush, whatever I want to, because I'm just involved in the process of a memory, and that's it. So I just want you to know this isn't a time-limited thing or anything like that. The beauty of cold wax is that you can just keep layering, and the history behind it shows through if you want it to, and that's really fun. Or you can just obliterate it, and it will be very opaque for you if you want that too. I'm remembering there was a road and some shadows from trees on the road. There was a stone wall, distant fields. I'm not going to get it just right, but it's really fun to try to just hang on to a feeling of that place and get that on paper. I'd like to add a little more contrast to this piece, so I'm mixing some Van Dyke brown with cold wax to get in there and create some of the dark darks. I have to say, this is sort of ironic because I'm always preaching to everyone to, create their thumbnail and their notan and have a plan before you start painting. And this is just a backwards way to do this for me. I have no plan. I have a thought and I have a vision in my head, but there's not a real plan here. I'm just kind of playing and seeing what comes up when I add lights and darks and scratch through and just see what happens. So I don't know if you've ever tried a painting where it's just completely experimental, but I do recommend it. It's opens up your passageways. I don't know. It just makes me feel like my brain is growing. It's really quite extraordinary. This is the part where I'm trying to pull in a little bit of representational landscape, but not really. I'm trying to indicate fields in the background just with a few swipes. I'm not painting fields and having them colored just perfectly. I'm not doing any of that. I'm taking the existing colors I have on my palette and just playing with lights and darks and contrast and seeing if it turns out to look a little representational, maybe a little mysterious. That's what I'm hoping for. One of the tricks to taking a representational landscape and abstracting it is by changing your tools. And I think using a squeegee and a palette knife, they're just awkward and you can't get the detail you want, nor do you even want to try. At least I don't. So it takes away that urge to get the perspective right or, just to have everything perfect and get an atmospheric perspective and all those things that you think about as a landscape painter, they just sort of go out the window and it's very freeing. Okay, this is my favorite part. I love using the barbecue skewer. It's just so much fun. It's great to make little lines and unexpected marks and even to sign your name with. And at this point, I want to add a little more contrast. I'm seeing that there needs to be some more bright brights and dark darks. What I love about oils is that they are so forgiving. You can just add and subtract until the cows come home or until you're content. And I just love that. It's just a fun way to work. And since I'd originally stained the paper with orange, it's really fun to push back and scrape back and find that color again. And then at the very end, I decided to pull out a small flat brush and just do a little bit of painting just so I could have some control over what was going on in this piece. It was getting a little out of hand and I wanted to pull it back, keep it abstract, but have some things that are recognizable to me. I think that one of the ways to abstract a landscape is to focus on the surface tension. That is, creating texture and mark making that flattens the surface and reduces the optical illusion of depth in the painting. There was a bit of ocean in the background, tiny bit, and I remember that, but it wasn't super obvious. So I wanted to get some King's Blue and mix it with some Van Dyke Brown and tone it down, and with whatever else I had on my brush too, just something a little bit muddy. And that's what I did. I wanted it to be subtle, but also read as some sort of distant ocean. So this part feels like the reward, pulling off the tape. You get to pull off the tape to reveal this beautiful clean edge against a very goopy, highly textured cold wax painting. And it's so much fun to see the contrast of that. And it just turns it into a painting instantaneously. It looks clean and nice. I love it. Ta-da! Okay, I'm going to stop here. But this was really fun. I enjoyed doing a memory painting, and there are things I would pull out of this, maybe for a future piece, things I would just not use, but I enjoyed the process regardless. So I think you always learn something about yourself, about color, about something. So I just really enjoy doing these fun experimental cold wax paintings where you just don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this memory painting, and try one yourself. Tell me what you think.